Hey Trampions, this week's episode of Too Late to Sleep is brought to you by arm slings. When you get what you deserve for trying to flip my show, huh? Yeah. Sorry, Ember Moon. I guess that one kind of... I like you, though. Yeah. Anyway, this is Too Late to Sleep. Alright, Trampions, not a big show this week. I actually had a plan for the next time that I had a show that was a little bit light. But then I got an idea that's probably not as good as it is expensive. But we'll get into that hopefully in another couple weeks. Maybe the week after Backlash, I'm kind of hoping for. My hope is that before then we don't need it. But it's been a light week, so... this is probably going to be a quick show. I do want to bring up Smackdown. I know last week I kind of complained a little bit about the women's division and how they kind of went ahead real quick with the Charlotte face turn and having everybody be on the same page all of a sudden after the week before. I said, oh, they're playing this great. They're still drawing it out a little bit. I got to give them credit for that. It's obvious where it's going, but they're not rushing to it quite as badly as I thought they were. I want to give them a thumbs up for that. That's good. I want to apologize for rushing to judgment on that. So I'm very happy about that. I just wanted to mention that. This weekend, got really into Wrestle Circus. There's a deal. I'm going to throw the tweet up here. It's going to sound like this is sponsored. It's in no way sponsored by Wrestle Circus. I don't think they know who I am, despite me cutting the promo for the Sideshow Championship match, being like the only person who sent the video in on Twitter. I don't think they know who I am. But I found the tweet where they're giving away the free month. I suggest you check it out. They don't have a lot of stuff up there. It's Pivot Share. It's like High Spots Network. Eventually, we're going to get into reviewing all these different VOD platforms. There's only a handful of shows up, but they are really good, and if you watch them sequentially, they get better each time. This company just sprang up basically overnight. They did a handful of untelevised shows, and then they started doing iPay-per-views just a few months ago and bringing in big names. They had Matt Hardy on the South by Southwest show. They did a Midnight After Mania show, so like everybody that was all revved up from watching WrestleMania could go and watch them compete with Pro Wrestling Revolver. It was a co-branded like fight between the two companies. It was a really good show. They've done one show since then. Check it out. Like I said, you get the month free. Like I said, I'm not getting any money for this. They didn't come to me. There's no referral link or anything like that. This is just me giving you a heads up. If you don't like it, cancel it. Don't pay. But check it out. Other big news is apparently Josh Gad, who probably best known as the voice of Olaf from Frozen. He was in the Book of Mormon on Broadway. He was LeFou in the live-action Beauty and the Beast. Hopefully by now you're kind of getting a clue who he is. He is working on a movie about Gorgeous George. It sounds like he is writing and or producing, and he doesn't have a lot of writing credits to his name, so I'm curious how that's going to work out. But he's working on it with WWE, and that could be amazing. Somebody who is a big wrestling fan and a professional creative working on a story about basically the man who created pro wrestling as we know it now. You know, before him, a couple people did gimmicks, but he was really the guy that brought these over-the-top gimmicks that we kind of take for granted, and during the 80s were all over the place. You know, he was the first guy to just kind of go out there and say, hate me because I'm arrogant and I'm going out of my way to make you hate me. And he did it so well that he created basically the idea of a gimmick. when it was usually just people going out there and saying, I'm the better man, I'm going to win, up until then. So it's going to be really fascinating to see how they handle this. The only other thing I've got is Dave Meltzer said on the boards over on his site something about how the way WWE is handling UK talent right now is eerily reminiscent of 1980s expansion WWE, where Vince would give time to local talent on his, I think, whatever USA show he had or syndicated show, one of his shows. And the idea being, as he presented it to these promoters, is, this is a goodwill gesture. I'm going to give your wrestlers this platform where they can get big because I'm coming in and I'm kind of taking some of your other talent. When the idea was that Vince just wanted to steal this talent out from under them by saying, hey, I made you big, now sign with me. And then he would cripple the promoters. This was in response to guys like Jim Smallman and some other British promoters showing up on WWE TV for these UK tapings. A lot of them were present at the Championship tournament, and a lot of them showed up in stuff that we've seen from the UK tapings that are going to hit the network in a couple weeks. So I think this is bullcrap in this context, because there is no way that these British promoters don't know that the WWE is trying to steal their talent. Half these guys are already under WWE contract to begin with. The entirety of British Strong Style from Progress is under WWE contract. Half of ICW is under WWE contract. They already know that they're under contract, and the only reason that they're still working dates for these companies is because WWE doesn't have enough work for them right now. They don't have a British performance center where they can send them to work there full time and tour under the WWE banner. That is the only reason these guys are on these limited deals where they get to work elsewhere. And if these promoters don't realize that, then they are too dumb to run a wrestling promotion. And I don't think that's the case. I think this is these guys trying to lobby for a developmental deal where they will be the alternative to the Performance Center, where instead of the Performance Center, they're going to be more like FCW or OVW before them, where it's going to be that they have that contract where all the wrestling talent in the UK goes through them. Or they honestly believe that WWE is not going to set up one developmental system, and this is how they're going to run it, using these multiple entities as kind of developmental farm leagues without that formal situation. And that is actually very plausible because WWE does not have that performance center in the UK right now. But I don't think that any of them are in danger of getting crippled just by the nature of the indie scene right now. The worst case scenario is they lose at most half of their talent, and that's an absolute worst case nuclear scenario. And even if that happens, they've got deep enough rosters, they've got enough talent that not only are in the UK, but that are willing to come out to the UK for a payday, for an event or two, that they can easily recover and have enough people on their cards, enough people that people are going to want to see on their cards, that they're not going to be crippled by losing 5 to 7, some cases maybe even 8 talents, even if it happens overnight. And that is, like I said, the worst case scenario. There is no scenario where they just are absolutely crippled by WWE. And that's why I don't think this is the problem. The indies are not in a place where they're going to be put out of business by WWE right now. It just is not set up that way. The indies are going to be put out of business by themselves if they just can't adapt. And the ones that aren't going to succeed have already failed We've seen a lot of bad indies close and a lot of good indies rise. And I don't think Progress, I don't think ICW, I don't think that these leagues that are getting farmed for talent from WWE are in danger of being on the bad side of things. I think that the way they're built, they're going to survive. They've got the distribution network, they've got the talent scouting, they've got the fan base. It's just not a problem for them right now. Anyway, that's how I see it. If you see it differently, drop a comment. Let me know. I'd love it if you hit the like button. I'd love it if you would share this with your friends. Whatever you do, if you haven't already subscribed, hit this beautiful face to subscribe. I'm going to toss up some videos that you might like. Whatever you do, I appreciate you watching. If you watched this far, that means that you cared enough, and I really appreciate that. I love you guys. As always, cheers.